Your children have screens, they have toys, they have activities, and yet they trail you around the house saying, I'm bored. Sound familiar? Well, today we're going to unpack exactly what's going on because this is not just irritating for you, it's actually telling you something really important about your child's inner world. And once you understand that, you will never see boredom the same way again. Hey, welcome back. It's Edwina. This is Blooming Curious, where we talk about curiosity-led learning, nature, and helping children, and honestly, educators and parents too, fall back in love with learning. But before I start, if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button down below and tap that little bell so that you never miss another episode. It means the world to me and it helps this little channel grow. Today's episode is something that I feel really passionate about, and I have a feeling it's going to resonate deeply with you too, whether you're a parent or a teacher or both. So settle in. We are raising what researchers call digital natives, children who have never known a world without a screen in their faces. Access to everything, instant answers, entertainment on tap. That sounds wonderful, right? But here's the paradox. And I want you to really hear this. All of that access is creating children able to entertain themselves, not more. Because screens, as magnificent as they are at delivering content and using them for research, are almost entirely passive experiences. The child sits, the screen performs. There is no wondering, there's no tinkering, there's no, what happens if I do this? Their brain is being fed, not exercised. And just like a muscle that is never used, the imagination begins to weaken. The curiosity reflex, that gorgeous inbuilt drive to explore and question, gets quieter and quieter because it's never asked to show up. So your child is actually not bored because they have nothing to do. They're bored because they have lost the ability to generate their own fascination. And that, my friend, is worth paying attention to. I want to talk to you about curiosity for a moment because it's absolutely at the heart of everything I do here at Blooming Curious. There's a beautiful piece of research from neuroscientist Matthias Gruber and his colleagues. It was published in the journal Neuron back in 2014, and they found that when we are in a state of genuine curiosity, that real intrinsic wondering, the brain releases dopamine, but not just any dopamine, the kind that actually primes the hippocampus for learning. It makes us more alert, more retentive, more motivated. The key word, though, is genuine. Screens also trigger dopamine, but it is what researchers call extrinsic stimulation. It's the dopamine from reward and novelty, not from wandering and discovering. The brain gets a hit without doing the work. And eventually, and this is where I'm bored comes in, it needs a bigger and bigger hit just to feel the same way, exactly the same as a drug addict would. Curiosity, though, the real kind, works differently. When a child picks up a stick and pokes at an anthill, or they mix water and soil to make a mud pie, or they ask, why does the moon follow our car? That is genuine curiosity at work. That's the brain doing something. It's engaged, it's invested, it's alive. Screens can never replicate that. Only real-world experiences can. So let's talk about boredom itself, because I think we have completely misunderstood boredom as a society. We have taught ourselves that boredom is a problem to be solved. When a child says, I'm bored, we leap into action. Here is the iPad. Here's a play date. Here's an activity. Done. Problem solved. But actually, boredom wasn't the problem at all. Boredom is just a message. Boredom is your child's nervous system saying, I need something real. I need something that makes me feel alive and engaged. I need to matter at this very moment. It's actually the precursor to creativity. It is the fertile ground from which imagination grows. Psychologist Todd Kashdan has spent his career studying curiosity and well-being and has written extensively about how tolerating discomfort, including the discomfort of boredom, is actually essential for building what he calls a curious life. Children who are never allowed to be bored never develop this internal resource to move through it and out the other side into genuine engagement and curiosity. This is something I also spoke about in episode 87, which I'd love you to go back and listen to if you haven't done so already. It was called Why Your Child Needs Boredom and How to Use It as a Teaching Tool. So pop back there and have a listen when you are done here, because it builds so beautifully on what we're talking about today. So what do we actually do about this problem? How do we help our children to rediscover that natural capacity for self-driven curiosity? I want you to consider this radical countercultural idea of an unoccupied afternoon. Not the scheduled afternoon, not the structured afternoon, not the screen afternoon with a movie, the unstructured one, where a child is given the time and space and a nudge in the direction of the natural world, and then, and this is the hard bit, left to figure it out for themselves. Because here's what happens when we stop filling every single gap. Children get uncomfortable. They might whinge for a while. They might continue to following you around for a bit. But then, if you hold firm and you do not rescue them from that discomfort, something magical happens. They start to notice things. The ants marching across the path, the puddle, the sound the wind makes through the trees, the acorns on the ground. And that noticing is the beginning of everything. It is the beginning of curiosity. Let me share a recent experience with you. If you've subscribed to my newsletter or you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I'm an early childhood educator who has recently moved towards a classical, Charlotte Mason-inspired approach to learning. I am deeply, deeply committed to the idea that nature is the ultimate teacher, and the gift of unstructured time in the natural world is perhaps the most powerful learning tool we have. It costs nothing. It requires no curriculum. It asks only that we get out of the way. In the small borrowed space that we have for our learners at my tutoring school, there is no slide, no jungle gym, no sandpit. There is grass, there is a garden, and there is a huge old oak tree that leaves all its acorns scattered all over the ground. I have stood back and watched, and the only thing these children have asked is for a shovel. They play chasey. They play hide and seek. They dig in the soil, making pretend cakes and using the acorns as their props. They've picked up sticks and pretended to mow the lawn. All I've done in those moments is not to entertain, but to model curiosity. And it's your role too, to bend down and look at the ants crossing a path and say, oh, look at that. Or to pick up a leaf and wonder out loud about it. You and I are the spark. Your genuine interest and your enthusiasm is contagious. And that is the most important teaching you will ever do. You see, you are the ultimate resource. You and nature. So the next time your child trails around the house saying, I'm bored, I want you to take a breath and instead of problem solving, get curious with yourself and ask them, I wonder what you could do with that. And then gently point them outside. And if you're not in a position to be outside, go to a park or to a wild space, the beach, anywhere. Sit back, watch the child, not your phone, and just see what they do. Because the antidote to boredom is not more content. It is curiosity. And curiosity lives in the real world, not on a screen. Now, if you want something really practical, ready to go, I have put together a free download of 24 screen-free activities you can do to nurture curiosity. And it's full of simple, nature-inspired, wholesome, low-prep ideas that spark that genuine wandering that we've been talking about today. The link is in the show notes. Go and grab it there and make that unoccupied afternoon a whole lot easier to lean into. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. If today's episode has resonated with you, please share it with a fellow parent or educator that also needs to hear this. And until next time, stay safe and be blooming curious.